Good morning. Karen Scholl with the Alaska Incident Management Team here on the north zone of the Monument Fire for your update for Tuesday, August 24th. It's kind of Groundhog's Day here, so. All right, up on the north zone, good day yesterday. Mostly patrol and mop up through the Underwood Mountain Road all the way from Coral Bottom around the Horn into Burnt Ranch. We had folks out in Burnt Ranch as we're getting resources that time out. We're getting a few resources in behind, so familiarization with the Burnt Ranch area. A lot of monitoring what's happening in the confluence of the New River and the Trinity River. It's very visible from the road, and we're just monitoring as that fire comes down to meet the river, and then able to respond and try to respond to get in for anything that crosses over the New River or has a potential to cross over the Trinity River. So we've got folks in there taking a look at that and continuing to monitor, and they will do that today as well. Down in Bell Flat, yesterday we did a little bit of cleanup burning, which is just, there was some stubble fields, kind of grass, low, small grass fields. We burnt that so that as embers come across, it does not ignite, and we don't have to go chasing that stuff. So a little bit of cleanup yesterday. Things are looking real good there. We're also taking a look at this Big Creek. Big Creek, as you know, is a really rugged canyon. We've got a couple of highly qualified folks trying to insert in there, walk up the creek a little ways and to see if there's anything we can do. But more to come on that. Not feeling real positive that we're able to do much in there, but we'll see what they come back with. Over in the Denny Road area, crews are continuing to push and open that road and make it viable as a defending line. So we'll see a lot of, not a lot, but activity certainly on the Denny Road. Up on top, engines and dozers, masticators, crews are working to improve the dozer lines that are up there and continue pushing north along the ridge. Down at the end of Fisher Road, where we want to push hand line up to meet the dozer line. That's really rugged country. We're waiting to get the correct crew in to be able to do that work. But it's been identified. We know what we want to do there. We're just waiting for the right resources to come our way. Around Trinity Village, saw lines going in around the old dozer line that went around the village. So saw lines getting established in there. That's dropping snags and improving it. It's just part of the process for having a defendable place for firefighters to go and make a stand. Also looking at putting structure protection gear out and about. So starting on the outside, so the structures closest to the fire where we anticipate potentially fire impacts, the furthest out, working our way in, and that's also part of the amount of resources, supplies, equipment that we have. So working on that, and we continue to do structure assessments for those in the community. So if you need that, see your local fire chief. That about does it for up in the northwest part of the corner of the fire. In the center of the fire, we had a little bit more activity yesterday in the Big Gulch, Big French drainage, as well as out by Waldorf Cutoff. This piece is getting a little more active, not a threat to us at this point, but still it's something we're keeping an eye on. We did have several different infrared flights yesterday. We talked about that a couple days ago. We have like 4 different platforms, so we were able to use the ground-based ones as well as a flight, kind of about 10,000 feet, look down in this area on the North Fork, and it looks like the fire, I'm not going to say the fire's gone out, but there's certainly not very much heat in this area. So we're continuing to keep eyes on this along the North Fork as we complete our preparation up the East Fork, up into Hobo Gulch campground and points north there. So still prepping along Hobo Gulch up to the campground, and then we've got folks snagging the trail a little bit north of there. Again, snagging is reducing the aerial hazard, so dead standing trees, reducing those get them on the ground so they don't act as an ember lofter. Over on the contingency line coming out of Canyon Creek and East Fork Road, we've got a hand crew on the Canyon Creek side, 2 hand crews in there working to put that line in. This is a multi-day project, so it's going to take a bit, but we've got folks in there working on that. We continue to identify lines, contingency lines, north and west of Weaverville in coordination with CAL FIRE. And then we also, yesterday, were able to send folks down to help CAL FIRE with what's happening down in Dutch Creek as that fire comes down, just making sure it stays in place and doesn't cause a problem. So good day over in our northwest part of the fire. On the northeast part of the fire. On the southwest part of the fire for us, down in the hay press area. So fire, we had a little bit of lifting of the smoke yesterday. We had a little bit of a southwesterly breeze. Can't even call it a wind. It was just a little bit of a breeze that provided a little bit of clearing. We talked about it before. When we have a little bit of clearing, we get increased fire behavior. So the Knowles Creek area became a little bit more active. Nothing crazy. Fire's still backing down, but it was consuming the brush, and then there was like single tree and a little bit of group tree torching in there. We were able to put a little fire on the ground last night using the check lines across the ridge that we'd put in. So put a little check line in and then fired that back to the east just to stay ahead of the main fire. And again, that's an action used to keep the fire from trying to outflank the resources on the ground as we continue with the preparation along Pattison Ridge and then down the Pattison Peak Trail. So that's all looking good so far. It's not moving aggressively to the west, but we're letting it basically move at its own pace right now while we have this cap on, and that just allows us to finish our preparations. Work continues down on Halfway Ridge and Judd Creek Ridge, trying to tie these pieces together using existing dozer lines and roads. So that work is continuing and developing the plan and what that looks like. Yesterday afternoon, Jim will talk more about this, but they did have some spot fires down in the west part of their fire over near Hay Fork. And so we were able to provide assistance there both yesterday evening when that first occurred and then overnight with some resources to bolster their effect. We're working in coordination with CAL FIRE on anywhere that poses a threat to our containment lines or to values at risk. We're surging resources within the fire between the zones to help each other out there. It's one fire and we all have the same common goal, so that's what we're working towards. Just wanted to make a mention of the repopulation yesterday of the communities along the corridor. Please just be aware that we still have resources using the corridor, mostly in the morning and in the evening as we have shift changes. As resources come out of their work areas back into Weaverville, you'll be seeing fire apparatus and folks coming back. And then also on the other side, as we send resources in and out of Willow Creek to be able to access their work areas. Please drive slowly with your lights on. Conditions will change rapidly, and just be aware that you may not see folks actually during the day on the roads, but during shift change, there'll be a lot more apparatus out there. Additionally, with the little bit of lifting that we had yesterday, a little bit of clearing with a slight breeze, we had a spot fire that came out and moved rapidly. Again, as mentioned yesterday, this continues to be a fuels-driven fire, meaning any ember that gets out into a receptive fuel bed, and everything is receptive because the fuels are so dry this year, that this is a fuels-driven fire. So with a slight breeze, we had a pretty big response down in the North Hayfork area. That can happen anywhere along the fire's edge where there's still active fire. So our areas of concern, certainly the Bell Flat area, and getting spots across the new river. This can get established in that southeast facing slope on Hoboken. It can very easily get established there and then pose a problem. So that's why we have a big focus here. Anything in the interior of the fire that gets a good breeze, that lofts embers anywhere outside our containment line has that same opportunity to become a problem. And as we saw yesterday, it just takes a little bit of lifting and a slight breeze to get embers out into those fine fuels, which is really kind of what was happening down here yesterday. And that really caused a problem. As we move through the week, winds look fairly favorable, not very strong, and they continue, but we're still having that afternoon little bit of clearing, little bit of lifting, and that's when we start to see problems. So just wanted to remind folks of that. I'll turn it over to Jim, and thanks for your continued support.
Good morning, Jim Hudson, Operations Section Chief with CAL FIRE Incident Management Team 5 with your operational update for the Monument South Zone. Beginning in the Junction City area, crews continue to tactically patrol around structures and mop up and build depth. We've seen some gains in that area. We continue to hold Dutch Creek Road, and the Dutch Creek area is our line that we've been working on for the past few operational periods, building depth and mop up, and continue to add containment line in that area as we move south towards Evans Bar. Moving south to the Evans Bar area, crews are still continuing to patrol, mop up, build depth. We don't have black or containment line in that area, but plan on having that within the next few operational periods. The spot fire from last week, the slop over off the Maxwell Creek area, crews continue to build depth and mop up deeper into the interior of the fire. Some of the challenges in that area have been burning rolling material rolling down towards the creek bed, but crews are aggressively going after those as that occurs. The spot fire in the Carr Creek area, crews have continued to go direct and build line around that based on the terrain and utilizing it to our advantage, and the alternate lines remain in place to the north of Highway 3. Our priority today is the area north and west of Hayfork. We did have a spot fire in that area yesterday in the Cedar Gulch area that spotted across our dozer line and then burned towards the west for a total of about 40 acres. We were able to redeploy resources and get them on that spot fire. They're currently mopping that spot up. We'll have a heavy resource involvement in the Hayfork area today, and in anticipation for the normal weather patterns where we'll see the potential for spot fires in that area. Our contingency lines are completed. We have alternate line and contingency line between the main body of the fire in Douglas City, and our contingency branch continues to work out towards the west as they turn up and work back towards the main body of the fire to the northwest, and we continue to coordinate with the North Zone to build alternate line up towards the northwest, towards Pattison Peak. Those will be our priorities for today. We were able to fly aircraft yesterday with the clear air, and it is trending in the right direction to be able to utilize aircraft today. Thank you.